our next guest, he is the newest member of the coaching staff of the Regina Thunder. He was a Saskatchewan Roughrider and a two-time Grey Cup champion. We welcome back to the show, Chris Getzlaf, ladies and gentlemen. Chris, first of all, before we get started, happy 42nd birthday tomorrow. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah, on the ball.
If you can believe what Wikipedia says, well, happy birthday. I don't know if there's plans to celebrate. Chris Getzlaf is retired. He's CG Wealth Management. You're a financial advisor. Life is good. And then all of a sudden we get word from Murad that you're going to be joining the coaching staff. Walk us through this. How do you get back into football if you've been out of it for a while? What's the story behind that?
I mean, some of it's just timing and how things arise. You know, obviously I've always loved the game. I love the offensive scheming that comes along with a game plan and then watching that being implemented on the field. So, you know, for me, I've been asked to coach several times in the past at different levels. And, you know, it's hard for me to fully commit to a true coaching job. And, you know, that's probably why I'm named a consultant, not a true coach with the team, because I don't want to take away from those guys that are the true coaches that are putting in all kinds of hours, right? So, but this is a way for me to be able to, you know, share some knowledge and hopefully help be a sounding board for Carter and the Thunder and advance their offensive capabilities here in 2025.
Now, you played for the Thunder when they were called the Prairie Thunder, but now they're just the Regina Thunder before you went on to the Rams, and then you started your CFL career. How did that time with the Thunder back then shape you and get you ready for what was to come, or what you would thought to come, even at a young age?
I mean, it was enormous to my development. You know, coming out of high school, you know, I'm a boy, I'm not a man. You know, there was a lot of growth that had to happen, both physically and mentally, for me to succeed at the game of football. And my time with the Thunder really helped me kind of get in the gym and hone my skills and be able to help me advance at the next level and eventually to the next level.
With where you've seen not only the Thunder, but the league, the PJFC go with not only the talent level and the coaching, all of that, from the time that you played, does it almost seem like the level of football and everything to go along with it has completely stepped up to a new level that maybe you were at when in your playing days?
Oh yeah, it's at a whole new level as a whole, for sure. I mean, you know, the organization has grown exponentially since the time that I was playing with it, both with facilities and coaching and board and you name it. And they've really created a winning culture. But, you know, to speak to junior football as a whole, yeah, I think that it has also advanced greatly during that period of time. And I think a lot of that has to do with, you know, the dedication and the different technologies and the availability for, you know, workout plans and nutrition. You basically everything that comes along with being a professional athlete. And treating your body that way and developing your body that way is just trickling down more and more to younger ages where people are taking it seriously. And that's just allowing them to advance both physically and mentally at a much greater pace than, you know, back even when I was playing.
So how hard was it last year? And it's been a long time since you put on the jersey. The Thunder and the season they had, and they were able to knock off the Hilltops, and they end up losing to Okanagan, and they're just that close to that next level to do that. Does that still tug at you a little bit as a former player when you know the wins and the losses and the highs and the lows?
Oh, of course. I mean, the whole goal, anyone who's competitive, and if you're playing in football, the goal is to win the championship every single year. I mean, no matter what, and you're going to have years that are up and years that are down. But you know, the Thunder have done an incredible job of creating a culture where winning is the expectation and you're going in each and every year with a chance to win it all. Um, so, them not being able to pull off the last game of the season, it's definitely tough, and is something that you got to strive toward being able to accomplish in the future. I mean, at one point, it always just seemed like the PFC just ran over whoever they ran into in the championship. I mean, from what I can remember throughout the years, and definitely need to get back to that.
One of the things in chatting with Darian, and we talked about it at dinner at Doubles, sometimes losing, a lot of people, you either win or you learn, and losing a lot of times teaches us lessons. That 09 loss in the Grey Cup that he had talked about setting up for success in 2013, do you think players from the Thunder that are going to be returning this year and that loss will give them maybe some knowledge that they didn't have going this season forward to maybe put that final piece together to maybe get them over that hump? Because you went through that as well. Did you gain more from the losses you went through and the learning out of that?
Yeah, I think that you do take a lot more learning out of losses than you do out of wins. When wins happen, your game plan and everything went went exactly how you planned out, and it ended up with the result that you were looking for, right? Whereas, if you don't come out on top, okay, well, what needed to happen differently for us to be able to come out on top? And I think those learning experiences and just being in those moments and having to go through that, um, if you come out on the losing side of it, yeah, you're definitely still gaining the experience of playing in a game of that magnitude at that time of the year in the conditions that you're likely going to see at that time of the year. So I think a lot of experience can be pulled from being able to make it that far and play that deep into a season, and you can take a lot of lessons from that.
I mean, obviously, if someone were to just read your Wikipedia, you are a Saskatchewan minor football success story at all the levels going through. There's a lot of parents nowadays, and I have 3 kids, and football is a unique sport, and parents are cautious, just like hockey, when it comes to hitting and all that. What advice do you have to parents if they were come to talk to you about if they're thinking about putting the kids in football or something like that?
I mean, to me, I think letting kids try and experience multiple sports is the way to do it. I mean, the only way that they're really going to find out what they truly love is to try and to play a bunch of different things. Obviously, it comes with some risks when it comes to the contact involved with certain sports, football specifically. But I mean, you can only, what's the word for it? You can only, I know, baby
Bubble wrap
wrap,
them for so long.
bubble wrap.
Yeah,
That's
bubble
the word
wrap
I'm
them.
looking for.
Bubble
Bubble
wrap them.
wrap your child so much, right? Before that's doing more harm than it is good. So obviously there is risks that come along with it, but the rewards are phenomenal. I mean, playing on a football team, you're getting to meet so many friends and so many connections because there's more people on a football team than any other sport. So, you get to
Mhm.
go into a locker room and you get to meet that many people along with coaches, mentors, whatever. So the experiences that you're going to get through the people that you meet and the connections that you're going to build with those people, I think is a huge benefit. And that's just outside of the game, which is obviously amazing to play.
That's one thing. Football is unique from any other sport because football, although, there's games, football to me, they're events. Not like a hockey game where you can roll in 15 minutes before and it's neat and tidy and it's all done, you're out the door. Football should be treated as an event where there's the pre, there's the actual, and then there's the after, and there's all of that. And I think you were lucky enough to be part of Rider Nation for long enough that just how crazy. When you look back on your time with the Riders, what's probably the one thing that stands out? Is it the relationships with the guys all this many years later that have stood the test of time?
For sure. I mean, the biggest question I always get asked is, do you miss it? And I always say, yes, I 100% miss it, which I do also miss playing the game. But the biggest thing that you miss is the locker room, the day in and day out. You're getting to play a fun game with a bunch of friends. And I mean, at that level, you're getting paid for it. But really, you're just getting to hang out with buddies every day. So uh, it's as good as it gets. So that's the thing that I always say I miss the most is the locker room.
Probably anybody that was at the dinner with doubles event on Labor Day weekend at Casino Regina, we got a chance to see that on stage because it was you, Darian, and a bunch of your old teammates, and maybe you guys hadn't seen each other in a while or years. It didn't look like that. It looked like you guys picked up exactly where you had left off, like you were still in that same locker room, and the shots flying back and forth. And I, like everybody else, couldn't stop laughing at some of the stories. I can only imagine, because I'm sure they were a little toned down or edited, what that was like at the time when it was going on, and to see that. And one of the things, and I think you guys explained it on stage, and I remember seeing it live at McMahon Stadium, because I called you. We're chatting with Chris Getzlaf on the Western Pizza Guest Hotline. He's a consultant for the Regina Thunder now. To me, you were a Stampeder killer. I don't know if that was just me in my head, but it just seemed every time that Chris Getzlaf and the Saskatchewan Roughrider, you used to kill the Stamps. And there was that touchdown at McMahon Stadium. Was that how did you guys, was that a throwback? Like when Darian rolled one side, threw it the other one, that it's been played a million times on TSN and I love it. What was that play?
That it wasn't a throwback. No, it was a straight drop back, but they happened to bring cover zero, so they weren't going to have any free safety, and it was basically man-to-man coverage, and they were bringing an extra defender that we couldn't block up front. So Darian just had to get in his drop and buy enough time to be able to throw it downfield, and I hit the line of scrimmage with my waggle going full tilt, and was able to get behind the defense, and he made a perfect throw, and we happened to score a 60-yard touchdown. We ended up winning the game by 1. That was with a minute and a half left. So yeah, it was a bit of a coming out party for me. I had a real good game there. And yeah, Calgary over the years, just how they ended up matching up on defense definitely favored me kind of each and every game. They tried to man up, man for man across the board. So, they would put their top defenders on, Andy or on Weston, and I'd end up having their third best man-to-man coverage guy taking me on for the bulk of a game. And if you've ever been to a football practice, one-on-ones heavily favor the wide receiver to start with.
And especially if that's the third guy on the depth chart that they're going up against. No, I mean, it was awesome. I loved it. The Saskatchewan Roughriders last year, a real nice bounce back year. When they're going through maybe my question, the amount of questions you get about the Saskatchewan Roughriders, no matter what team it is and who's coaching or whatever, do you get asked about it more when they're winning, losing, or is it just always the same? Everybody kind of wants your opinion of what's going on with the team at any certain moment. Because I can only imagine during a 7 or 8 game losing streak, everybody probably wants to know what Chris Getzlaf thinks may get the Riders out of the funk.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the questions and the conversation generally happen at a consistent basis, regardless of what's going on. But yeah, when there's more losing than winning going on, then obviously that raises a lot more questions or concerns and things that need to be fixed, quote unquote. So, if there's a lot of winning going on, then it's just kind of hunky dory. Everyone's pretty happy, and you're not really calling for a lot of action at that point because the results are there.
Rider fans, are we ever really that happy? We're happy for a bit, but then we're always very cautious looking over his shoulder. Hey, can we switch gears for a second? Talk about the 3rd annual Saskatchewan Roughrider Foundation Winter Classic charity hockey game. Saturday, February 1st, Merlish-Belcher Place in Saskatoon. Team Lothar, Team Getzlaf. First question. do you play on your brother's team or are you on Lothar's team? I don't know, like, because that's his team, so I don't know. Do you have to, or like how does that pan out? Like,
No, I played against Lothar each time. So
okay,
last year was the first year, and he's not going to be able to make it this year either. That my brother did play, so he ended up playing with me, which was
okay.
amazing. I mean, playing on the same line with him, hadn't been on the ice with him for over 20 years before that, so it's a pretty cool experience, great atmosphere. We ended up losing to Team Lothar again, so that's back to back years that my team ended up losing to Lothar's team in a shootout.
So what makes Lothar so good? I know he can kick field goals. He can handle his extra points, but
Well,
he's a good hockey
It's
player as well.
Lothar's
Like,
event, eh? It's Lothar's event, hey? So he
oh,
gets to structure the teams a little bit. So, I mean, you can take that as far as you want to take it.
so basically, this would be like American college football before NIL. There's a bag man somewhere. There's maybe some backroom deals going on. There's some, hey, put this on. How neat was it to see Rider fans show up en masse on a freezing cold weekend to not only support the team and the Saskatchewan Roughrider Foundation, because getting to know Cindy a little bit over this past year, she's a very passionate lady. And that Saskatchewan Roughrider Foundation is in very good hands with everything that she's got pointed. But there's some there's something there. I'm thinking sooner or later that arena may be too small for, I
I
think, where
mean,
the
fingers
potential this thing
crossed.
has to grow.
Yeah, fingers crossed. That would be perfect. That if that place ends up getting too small, I mean, that's couldn't ask for a better situation. Sorry, um, but it's a beautiful rink. So the event that went on there last year was awesome. I'm really looking forward to the upcoming one this year, and hopefully we get that many more people out there.
Tickets are on sale. They're $25 each. Team Lothar taking on Team Getzlaf's the Saskatchewan Roughrider Foundation Winter Classic charity hockey game. Your brother's working for the NHL, correct, this year? And he's in, is it in the player discipline department? Is that the proper
I
term, or
think
just,
it's more player safety is what it's
oh,
more
play, player
player
safety?
safety, but they go hand in hand, right? They're going to be reviewing the um, egregious plays that happen and dictate whether that deserves a fine or a suspension or whatever. So, but yeah, it's along the lines of player safety.
How's that been for him? Because you were a professional athlete, and when you have to transition out of playing and into a, essentially sometimes a private life or a more normal life, that can that can take a lot on a person. How's that been for him?
I mean, he's everything that he's ever said to me is like so happy. So
Oh,
that
okay.
he was ready. He was just ready. Like doesn't regret a thing for any of the time or when he hung him up or anything like that. Doesn't look back with any type of regret. So he's in a real good spot, and him getting involved with Hockey Canada as well as with the NHL and player safety. So that's kind of keeping his head in the game and around some of the guys from time to time.
That's good. We speaking of Hockey Canada, were you disappointed at all with our junior team and the results that we had? Not in the team itself, but that we weren't able to get any further than we did.
Of course, growing up in Canada, anytime that you're on the international stage, the expectation from any Canadian hockey fan is that you're going to win gold, not just medal. You're going to win gold. So
Or both.
them going out and losing the way that they did. I mean, that's tough. I feel for the kids because that's a lot of pressure that gets put on them when you're playing at that level. And like I said, they understand that the expectation that I just mentioned is out there, and to not come out on top is super disappointing. And I know it's super disappointing for them.
All right. Chris Getzlaf joining us on the Western Pizza guest hotline. CG Wealth Management. You're a financial outside of football. You're a financial advisor as well. And we're getting close to tax time, and there's a lot of craziness, there's a lot of stuff going on. If people want to get in touch with you, because what's the best way to do that? No, usually we don't do any free shout outs, but we would love to pass along, because it's funny. There's a lot of things. I was reading today that whole capital gains things go through, although that's not a law. They still may start charging. I'm like, whoa, these smokes, what's going on here in this financial world that we're living in?
I mean, the capital gains thing, with Trudeau resigning, that it might get squashed, which would be awesome. I mean, that was just an increase that they had done to the inclusion rate back in June 2024. So if that ends up getting passed, or if it get passed over, which would be great, then it would just go back to that inclusion rate that was there before. But I mean, when it comes to this time of year, yeah, it's busy in the financial world. January's super busy because everyone gains more TFSA contribution limit. And then obviously by the end of February, kind of have to have mock tax returns and everything done to get an idea if you need to buy some RSPs and whatnot. So, I mean, best way to get a hold of me would just be to give the office a call at 306-546-5511.
All right. Oh, last question here. And this has nothing to do. Are you a crypto guy or not?
I'm not. I can't say that it's not intriguing and that there potentially isn't something there. My biggest thing with crypto, for the most part, is if I invest in a stock, I'm buying a specific company and I'm going to get a return based on that company's success. Where if I'm buying crypto, there's nothing really tangible there. It's all just a value that is based on the demand that is out there for someone buying that. So yes, if a lot of people buy it, then I'm going to make my investment's going to go up. And if they don't, or it goes vice versa, then it's going to go down. But there's just no real backing to that standing the test of time, if you will. So that's not me saying that it potentially isn't the future or that there isn't something there, because I do think that there is something there with the overall idea of crypto. But that's just kind of my thoughts on it. And that's why I've kind of stayed away from it to this point. Do I wish that I invested in Bitcoin 10 years ago? Yeah, of course I do.
yeah. And that's right, because some people are like, I can.
Yeah, I won't deny that for a second, but yeah, that's what's kept me away.
There's been some actors and athletes that have been like, yeah, I got paid in crypto 10, 11 years ago or whatever. And now they're laughing all the way to the bank, because I'm not sure if your Instagram feed is like mine. Every third picture I see is an ad to buy crypto. Well, thanks for clearing that up. So we covered football, we covered some hockey, and we covered the financial markets today. I think this is a good, well-rounded chat. Chris Getzlaf joining us on the Western Pizza guest line here on the all-new SportsCage. Chris, thanks for your time. Hope to do this again because we get closer to the season. All right, we're going to take a break, and we come back. It's a big day in NFL sports history. Well, NFL history and sports history. Do you remember what happened on this day 25 years ago? If you don't, we'll take a trip down memory lane. It's the all-new SportsCage on 620 CKRM, and we're streaming on the internet at sportscage.com.